Good morning. It's good to be here. Been traveling, so I've missed being here in person for a while, so it's really good to hug you all and see you in person. So the readings, I have two short readings for today in the theme of that Annie picked of finding light in the time of suffering. And I just want to say a couple of things. One is that with the readings and in general, we all know that humans, we can respond with resilience when suffering happens, when bad things happen, but I'm very resistant to the idea that somehow balances out the grief or that somehow justifies or explains the losses. It's like, no, but it's just what humans can do. So I never want to sort of diminish or bypass the realness of grief that we feel. So, and this first one is focuses on death, just in terms of what it talks about as a loss and a source of suffering, but you can extrapolate it to extend to other kinds of losses, even though it's focused on death. Death is the Wildfire by John Roedel. Death is the wildfire that rips through the forest of our life. It scorches the ground, it chars the rocks, it engulfs the trees. Death is the fire that comes to consume everything. But it can't, because after the fire is gone, there's always a miracle waiting under the ashes of what our lives used to look like. And the miracle is called grief. Grief is the slow motion recovery that follows the insatiable fire of death. To grieve the loss of our beloved means that death didn't burn everything. Our adoration and memories of our beloved remain fully intact underneath the soot after death rages through. You see, my love, death may knock down every tree in our forest, but since grief is the aching itch of recovery that we can feel stirring beneath the scalded ground, it means that death doesn't get the last word. Love does. Love is the sapling that comes after the devastating fire. Love is the grass pushing up through the once barren, fire-licked woodland floor. Love is relentless, and there's no element in existence that can ever destroy it. Love is always working its way back to us. No matter how hot the wildfire blazed, grief is proof that we didn't let death win. Death wants us to feel numb, to feel utter despair. But when we allow ourselves to grieve, we keep the ashes from hardening. Grief is the fluttering inside of us that reminds the world that although our world has burned down to the roots, that there is still life within us. And if we can hold on long enough, life will eventually start pouring out of all our smoldering wounds. Ecologists say that sometimes when forests burn down, they can explode into thousands of wildflowers. They call it a superbloom. That's what grief is. Death may burn our world, but grief allows it to grow back. Maybe it will never look like it used to, and maybe that is totally okay, because maybe, just maybe, grief is meant to change us. Grief is the superbloom that comes after the inferno. There's a much shorter way of saying that, the line to a song by Lawrence Cole that says, grief is love's souvenir. Right. The second reading that I have comes from John O'Donohue from his book, To Bless the Space Between Us, and it's a blessing for suffering. May you be blessed in the holy names of those who, without you knowing it, help to carry and lighten your pain. May you know serenity when you are called to enter the house of suffering. May a window of light always surprise you. May you be granted the wisdom to avoid false resistance. When suffering knocks on the door of your life, may you glimpse its eventual gifts. May you be able to receive the fruits of suffering. May memory bless and protect you with the hard-earned light of your past travail, to remind you that you have survived before, and though the darkness now is deep, you will soon see approaching light. May the grace of time heal your wounds. May you know that though the storm might rage, not a hair of your head will be harmed.